So I have a problem. The honest truth is I never felt good enough no matter what I did. And I never knew why. So I want to bring you back in the day when I was a drug dealer, when I was a pharmacist. And I remember all the way up until graduation. I was about to graduate and I had no more classes anymore. Didn't have to do homework. And the dream that I had since I was 18 years old and I was turning 25 was actually coming to reality. I was literally going to be a licensed pharmacist. I wouldn't really have to worry about money ever really again if I stuck with this career. I remember yes, I felt happy passing my boards and getting licensed, but I remember it just quickly fading. And then me chasing on to the next thing. And then same thing happened later with my YouTube career, right? Where, I had a few videos. I had one video that almost broke 1 million and stuff like that. Again, I felt happy in the moment, but it just felt kind of numb. And I was chasing the next thing. And then what was that next thing? It was trying to get out of CVS, my old pharmacy company that I hated. It was so bad back in the day. I finished that. I went to a grocery chain and had my dream job. And you kind of know the story from that. Eventually, I lost my job through my YouTube channel. I had an asshole boss who decided it was appropriate to terminate me when my dad was in the emergency room and stuff like that. But it's all good. I remember when that happened, that was another major milestone in my life where I finally quit pharmacy. I made the leap to do my own thing. And then the next thing was oh, can I surpass my pharmacy career money doing things like high ticket sales and as an entrepreneur? And I was able to do that. I started doing high ticket sales and I had 1K days, 4K days. And I had my first 36K month that month too, which was insane. And I just remember all these times, right? I got the dopamine hit, right? It felt really good to accomplish these things. But at the end of the day, life just kind of baselined. And I noticed my mind kind of wandering a lot where it would immediately go to comparing to other people. And I don't know if I'm an Asian dad secretly or something like that. My mind started saying oh, Kevin, look at this person. They didn't half the time and they're way more successful than you. There's that. And if I were to draw smaller circles and be more specific, it'd be hey, look at someone like Vanessa Lau. She started YouTube way later and she made way more money than you, and her YouTube and impact is way bigger, right? Same with high ticket sales. There's some people in high ticket sales who make way more money than me. They started way later than me. And I just always kind of felt that way. Or someone would start a new business and just at a certain point surpass me. Same with jujitsu, right? You see these people who start later than you and they surpass you. And for someone like me, it's really frustrating because I ran into these things where I just have very, very limited energy sometimes. If you're into human design, I'm a projector, right? And so I don't have endless amount of energy. I get burnt out really, really easily. And I always wonder there's something wrong with me. And I would try to keep up. I would try to work harder. No matter what I did, I felt it was just how sometimes the harder you want something or the harder you desire something, the harder it is. And then when you don't care, when I got my purple belt, I wasn't even thinking about belts anymore. I was just whatever, I'll get it whenever. I just want to get really good at jujitsu. And that's when I actually got my purple belt, which was crazy in jujitsu. But as soon as I kind of let go, I started getting those things. The reason why I bring this up is I feel for most of my life, I've been much of a tryhard and kind of my own Asian dad in my mind where, I start comparing myself to people externally versus internally. And I think something I wish I learned way earlier, there's this great book by Ben Hardy and Dan Sullivan. It's The Gap versus the Gain. And a lot of times what I did was I measured the gap. I kind of was measuring it against what I didn't have, why I didn't have this, or being very, very hard on myself and very self-critical on what I didn't have or what was lacking in my life and compare myself to other people. Whereas the gain is oh, look how far we've come. We were here and look, now we're here. I think what happened a lot of times was when I had those crazy ass revenue months, right? Rather than be oh my God, Kevin, you were working 12 hours in the pharmacy and now you made that same amount that you made in a week in just a few hours, just yapping to people and holding space. It's obviously way harder than that, but I'm being a right now. But rather than appreciating how easily the money came and all the skills I've kind of built up over the years, I was oh my God, XYZ is doing this much more than me. I feel like so behind. Like I should be a multimillionaire at this age too. And I realize that this is actually very, very dangerous because what happens is that what I've noticed, at least for myself, is that I beat myself up and suddenly I don't want to do that thing and it discourages me from doing more. Versus like the other way, when I appreciate the gap, I'm like, oh my God, like, you know, a month ago, I could barely, like, for example, jujitsu is a great example. Like a month ago, I could barely hit this armbar, but now it's like one of my main moves that I actually hit regularly. And I actually want to learn more, right? And it's really fun to learn more and really fun to just like see something grow. And I wish I did that more for my personal life, my business life, in times of really hard, like tough times, right? For business, maybe I'm struggling on a project, I'm like working really late hours. I beat myself up a lot of times and I wish I didn't do that as much. I wish I could appreciate. And so when I was doing high ticket sales for Ali, that's something I noticed about him. I noticed this about Chris Do. I noticed it about like people like Vanessa Lau too. All the YouTube people I know that are super successful, they celebrate the small wins and makes them want to do more and learn more. And something I tell myself to do out of, some people call it self-love, but as a guy, I think the words self-respect is way better. But something I've kind of consciously done every single day is thank the universe, thank God, whatever you guys believe in. For me, I alternate between God and universe, but I'm just like, hey, thank you, God, for taking care of me financially. Thank you, God, for blessing me with this connection. Thank you, God, for this wonderful meal. Thank you, God, for taking care of me during this transition after pharmacy and taking care of my mom and stuff. And it's just made me so much more of a grateful person. And even further, something new I've been kind of doing is thanking the universe or God on things I don't quite have yet. Like I think the universe on one major long-term goal, right? So like I'm just like, okay, thank you, God, for transforming the person I need to be to hit 100K per month passively. Thank you, God, for transforming me into a BJJ athlete at 10% body fat or 12%, whatever it is. And then I'll do something that is short term, like thank you, God, for blessing me with the most productive day. And then I'll thank God for something like blessing me with a very productive, deep focus session. Doing this has made me way happier, way less critical on myself. And even for a while, I was thanking God for a loving partner, and now she's kind of in my life, which is pretty amazing. And so the reason why I bring this up is because probably you're like me and you're probably really, really hard on yourself. And the thing is like life is like constipation. The harder you try to push, the worse it gets. And so we just need to relax and realize that great things come with great time. And just because someone is a lot further than you doesn't mean you won't catch up or anything like that. What I find is that life is often like the stock market. If you zoom in, it's very volatile. It goes up and down. But if you look over the trend of time, it goes up and down and trends upward over time. So yeah, I want to share that with you because I felt like it was very, very important to just yap out into the universe. Let me know your thoughts. If you want more of these yapping videos, subscribe. I'll talk to you guys later. Peace, my people. Bye.